Welcome back to the Good Labs channel. Today's video we're going to talk about hitting the ball low. We have about a 20 mile an hour wind into our face right now, so we're going to need to hit some low shots. Look at all the guys here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, obviously wedges are going to be the hardest for sure, but once you start climbing up with clubs, the 8 iron, the 7, the 5, the 2 iron, it'll get a little easier naturally. But this is a very, very important shot in golf. I think a lot of amateur golfers think that when it's into the wind, you need to swing super hard. That is the main key focus today, is you swing normal. In fact, swing even lighter.
Right.
Because in that way, the harder you swing, the more spin you're going to create and the higher the ball is going to go. So a nice smooth swing. We just talked about tempo. Use some of that into the wind. You'll be perfectly fine.
All right guys, the main reason you would want to hit it low when you're into the wind like this is because if you're going to hit it high, you're giving the wind power over your golf ball. So you don't necessarily have the control over your golf ball that you want. And when you hit it low, you're hitting it piercing and it's going through the wind and not necessarily floating up with the wind. So it's basically, we're trying to hit it through the wind. When you're hitting into the wind is to reduce the spin as much as you can. So that means usually you want to take a lot more club and also try and shorten your backswing, shorten your follow through, and just kind of control it. But want to hit a couple, Matt? You can explain how you hit it low.
Me and Grant kind of had a lesson about this where he was teaching me some things, but I could probably learn some tips on wedges because I don't necessarily know how to hit wedges lower, except for maybe put it more in the back of your stance or something. I don't really know.
Yeah, so I watched a video a long time ago on hitting it low with Tiger Woods, and the main thing Tiger talks about is the length of your follow through. So in relationship to his ribs usually is where he would talk about, but if he really wants to hit it low, he'll cut it off like waist height. Mid would be like rib height. If he wants to hit a standard shot, he'd follow through, but a super low shot, he wants to cut his follow through off at about this height. Oh. So when he's trying to really flight one, it's like right there. That is like as high as he wants it to go, which is the club would be about parallel to the ground on the follow through. So if you're hitting this shot, Matt, just try and saw off your follow through. Steve will hit a couple too. He's good at hitting them low.
I really am.
Yeah, he actually is really solid at hitting those low flighted ones.
Oh yeah.
I would say Steve hits his wedge shots lower than anybody. So that, he probably doesn't know how he's doing it, but he's just doing it.
Yeah, you don't gotta know. You gotta feel it though. Yeah. Actually, you should know how to do it, because when I don't want to, I can't hit it high.
You're not gonna want to swing hard because it's gonna go straight up in the air. So just a smaller backswing and smaller follow through. And just really try and cut off that follow through. That was the idea, but when you went through, your face was like pointing to the sky there. It was like this. So all you gotta do is focus on closing that face down. And when you follow through there, yeah, just make sure the face is a little bit more closed through impact. Turn that face in a little bit right now, close it there. Just hold it. There.
Oh, hey.
A little bit better. Yeah, that's the idea, guys, is you can take a pretty long backswing, but when you come through the ball, saw off that follow through pretty low. Dude, that's low. That's nuts. All right guys, so the 3 main checkpoints today. First one is gonna be ball position. We're gonna wanna make sure that ball position is slightly back in your stance. So if just behind center, I don't want it way back, because sometimes if you move it back too far, you actually create more spin because you get steeper on it. So we don't wanna move it too far back. We want it just slightly back in our stance. The next thing is we're gonna focus on follow through only going about waist height. So we don't want that follow through going way up here if you're trying to hit it low. We want it waist height and extending to there. And the last thing is making sure this angle through impact stays the same. So we don't want this to break down because that's gonna add loft, it's gonna shoot straight up in the air. We gotta maintain that angle and the follow through. So those are my 3 main checkpoints for hitting it low. We got Mike in here and he's known for hitting these like low bullet 2 irons. But I mean, many of you do know a 2 iron's going to naturally, it's gonna wanna launch lower, but he hits it significantly low when he wants to. Explain how you do that, Micah.
Pretty much everything. I would say everything that Grant said a second ago is very critical. When I'm trying to hit it really low, I actually focus on swinging just a little bit slower to knock some of the spin off, because spin obviously creates height. So for me, big thing is swinging just a little bit slower and maintaining that angle through impact, and it really will bring that ball flight down.
Oh! See, that is awesome. That right there shows why hitting it low is so crucial into the wind, because the wind never even had the chance to touch that golf ball. Oh,
I mean, this club makes it easy to hit low, but also swinging a little bit slower, playing it back in your stance, and holding that, holding the face angle through impact will really help you keep it under the wind. So what happens when you spin the ball too much, when you are hitting it into the wind, is the distance control is impossible. So whenever I'm hitting into the wind, I always club down, swing a little bit slower, and take some of that spin off, because anytime you swing harder with less club, the ball spinning that much, you're never gonna have good distance control.
All right, guys, lastly, Garrett showed up and he is the king of hitting the ball low. He's known for his stingers, but a stinger and hitting it low are pretty similar. So let's hear what he has to say.
Well, there's a difference between a stinger and low. I think in a future video, we're gonna do how to hit a stinger, because that is a lot different. Grant already said it pretty perfectly, and like Tiger said the same thing that kind of Grant said, was when you're really trying to hit it low, you almost want to feel like you're stopping your hands there. It's an abbreviated follow through.
Right.
Keep that weight a little left. Move the ball position a little bit back, but not too far back, because like you said, you can get steep and make it start spinning. Yeah, that's pretty much what I try and do. This is a 5-iron and we're into the wind. You got to basically picture this shot being about like 170 yards. I think being able to hit the golf ball low and high, just being able to work the ball in every direction, is probably the most important thing in golf. One of the most important things in golf, because if you get in a windy day like this and you're a high ball hitter and you don't know what to do, you don't know how to keep it low, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that video, because I play with a lot of amateurs, and I noticed one thing is when it starts to get windy, they start swinging harder, and that obviously creates more spin. They hit it higher up into the air. So if anything you guys can take away from today's video is that if it's into the wind, take more clubs, swing easier.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Good Labs video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more tips and tricks on how to improve your golf game and become the greatest golfer ever. Until next time, guys, peace out.